With me is Senior Systems Designer Torc. How you doing, Torc?
I'm doing pretty good.
Now, you're involved in the Arcane Trickster that's going to be coming to the game here real soon, and we're here to talk a little bit about that. In many ways, the Arcane Trickster is a rogue with magic.
Yes, we had a few the Arcane Trickster has been with D&D for a very long time, like since back in 3rd edition. So it was originally one of the prestige classes, but recent iterations it's more of a subclass of rogue. We're doing it as an archetype of rogue. It is basically kind of like the Eldritch Knight of rogues for our game. While it's fully adept at sneak attacking and disable traps and the standard tasks that rogues do, it's got a lot of extra magical tools, namely the mage hand, which can do all sorts of things, including disabling traps at ranged. It can like poke your foe in the eye and slap one silly. And there's one of the capstone abilities is called Presto, where it snaps its fingers and the monster just vanishes, and we don't really explain what happens. It's magic.
Yeah,
Did it. Magic hand. The other aspect that how we work the spells is they have stolen spells. They steal spells. So kind of like Archmage, their core line is a SLA selector of spell-like abilities, but it is very verbose. Instead of picking a school of magic in the arcane tradition, you're basically stealing a spell from another class, and you can really mix and match. You could like have an alchemist spell from one core, or a cleric spell, and have a cleric spell in another. So they're very versatile.
What are they giving up? Because they have trap ability in that. So what are some of the things that differentiate a traditional style rogue from an arcane trickster?
So for the most part, you start the same in many regards. You both get evasion, but after that you start losing a lot of things. So you won't get uncanny dodge, you won't get the bonus feats, you won't get improved evasion. The Arcane Trickster basically has access to the mechanic tree, the Thief Acrobat tree, as well as its own tree, so they'll lose access to Assassin. So we're probably also going to do a few tweaks to Assassin just to kind of keep everything level.
They still use intelligence as their primary stat. Is that also their spellcasting stat?
Sort of. Their spells and spell-like abilities use Disable Device, much like the recent mechanic. They don't roll the d20 in this current form. They just use their flat disable. Whatever your Disable Device skill is, that's your DC, and that is intelligence driven. So they are effectively intelligence driven, though you could still run as a dex build if you want to, because keeping your Disable Device skill up. You have a lot of other bonuses you can access. You can like use your activate skill bonus to actually boost your DCs on your spells, because it's effectively skill driven. It's kind of like Bard perform checks, except they're using Disable Device instead.
When it comes to spellcasting, they in many ways have proficiency as of a rogue. What about things like wearing armor versus some of the other caster classes out there?
So they get light armor for free, kind of like bards. So you're going to be able to wear leather without worrying about arcane failure. They do have some arcane failure bonuses in their tree if you want to basically boost your armor up. The kind of standard 1, 2, 3 by 15% arcane armor reduction for failure. And there are other sources you can find in the game to kind of if you want to run a plate mail Arcane Trickster, it's probably possible. Maybe you want to wear a mithril plate mail.
Someone will figure it out. It out. Yeah. One of the first things people are going to see in the feat list that is new, very much new, is a magical ambush. So what is a magical ambush?
Yeah, this is actually probably the most iterative, intensive aspect of this class. So the idea of a magical ambush is that you take your sneak attack dice and we apply it to your spell damage in some form.
Spell Thief is all the way up at level 16 for a feat, and it allows you, with melee and missile attacks, that if they strike a target that has spells, it will grant the caster spell points. You'll get spell points for using a missile attack or a melee attack against an enemy that uses spells. Given that your name is Torc, and there's a very famous item called the Torc, right? Is this like that, or what's up? Yeah.
Purely coincidental, but I mean, it sort of is. Like, you had to get hit. You had to get hit to get your spell points for the Torc, if I recall.
Yeah.
This is you get to hit the enemy, which is a lot better, especially since you have a lot of tools to CC the enemy. But yeah, you basically can beat the spell points out of people. It's very deep in the tree, so obviously, like, you're very deep in the class level structure, so you're kind of really devoting yourself to Arcane Trickster to access that. But it's how we're representing, Spell Thief in our current iteration of the class archetype right now.
You mentioned the idea of stolen spells. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be pulling spells from enemies you encounter. The Arcane Trickster does have a spell list.
So you have an arcane list it's like the progression is kind of like a ranger in terms of your base spells, except you're accessing arcane spells mostly of the illusion and enchantment schools, though we did kind of range that out a bit to a fair number of utility transmutation and abjuration spells. Like, if you can get Night Shield, you can get Jump. So it's got, your base book is mostly utility, though. If you're they have tools to stack up their enchantment and illusion DCs through weapon attacks deeper in their tree. So you could use we're aiming that your Phantasmal Killer spell will probably be good at least against something that has a weak will save. You get Blur and Displacement. You'll in Hypnotism and Charm Person, you get a variety of abilities that things out of your book that will probably help you through your adventuring. But you're not really going to be able to do it with your spell book alone, because that is kind of a short stack book. The SLAs really are what help you round it out.
And that's in core 2, 3, and 4 here.
Yeah,
and there's you will pick from a list of 6, right?
Let me not get fuzzy.
Yeah.
Yes, you're basically going to pick 4 spells from 6 different casting classes. Yeah. We didn't do Warlock, but I think we got everyone else. And as you go up in the course, some of those spells get pretty beefy, like Disintegrate or Heal. Some of them have decent, they're SLAs, so some of them will have decent cooldowns. So they're kind of meant to augment a rogue is pretty much our game a DPS platform right now, so it's kind of meant to augment that. It is not going to be like a casting class out of the get-go, but it might multi-class into casting classes in a very interesting hybrid way, because if it tries for damage, you can get a lot of sneak attack dice in the game to try to stack up that arcane ambush.
Yes you can.
I'm a little afraid of it, to be honest.
One of the big visual things that you'll recognize with the Arcane Trickster, and we started this conversation, so let's end the conversation perhaps on this as well, which is the idea of the mage hand. You're going to see it in game, actually doing stuff.
Yes, it'll appear around the monster when it's messing with the monster. As a side perk, when you emote certain emotes, if we had a emote mage hand kind of emote that matched, we threw it in. So you wave, the hand will pop up and wave as you're waving. Stuff like that. But it's not floating with you perpetually like the hawk. It's definitely popping in and out of existence, but you'll be making it pop in and out of existence, pretty commonly. Just the strength of the abilities.